Hello and welcome to this week's episode of No Excess Required. So, Ross Scott, the man who is heading up the Stop Killing Games initiative, just the other day in actual fact, appeared at the European Parliament. He went there to raise awareness for the initiative and to garner support from the various European institutions that all have customers' interests at heart. You see, we live in a time where corporate entities can do pretty much whatever they want. They've become so powerful that their lobbying arms become very, very influential in the halls of power across the planet. In this particular instance, of course, we are looking at the EU. But make no mistake, it's not just American politicians that get lobbied. You see, we live in a time where corporate entities can pretty much do whatever they want. And they've become more and more powerful as they've become more and more wealthy. And that wealth is targeted at very influential individuals, specifically political individuals. And so they lobby, and for the most part get their own way. And many politicians who are supposed to be looking out for the interests of the customer end up, in fact, looking out for the interests of the people who are lining their pockets. Now, this is nothing new. It's the same old story. But in the midst of this low-level corruption by high-level individuals, the insidious message that corporations are basically unassailable filters through. Recently, we have seen gamers rise up against their corporate overlords because the corporate overlords are frankly acting a bit shit. AAA games companies are more and more looking like the gaming equivalent of Genghis Khan. They're just riding roughshod over everything and everyone, and there's very little anyone can do to stop it. However, those of us who are steeped in gaming understand the rules, that for every bad guy there's a good guy, and the more insignificant the good guy's origins are, the bigger the hero he will be. Now, I'm not here suggesting that Ross Scott is insignificant. Far from it, in fact. He is fast becoming the polar opposite. And his recent journey to Europe to basically sit down and parley is long overdue. But like all the best heroes, he was forced into it by his own actions. I remember when this initiative first started, Ross Scott said, "Look, I'm not the guy. I'm hoping that somebody else can take this and run with it." And I commented on a post, he was the guy. Whether he liked it or not, he was now the face of Stop Killing Games. And if not him, then who? He was, as the person who initiated the Stop Killing Games movement, the person best placed to represent it. And he sat behind the desk, fumbling through his script in front of all these very well-polished politicians, and went on to deliver a masterclass in subject matter knowledge and humility. He went from zero to hero. The corporations will sell you a game. Well, they call it selling you a game, but in actual fact, you're buying a license for the game. You're buying a license to use the game, which they can then revoke usage of at any given point. But they're having their cake and eating it, because technically you're not allowed to say you're actually selling something under those conditions. The expectation is that if you buy something, it's yours to own and do it as you please in perpetuity. But more and more, we're seeing corporate entities deal in these practices. They tell you that they're selling you something that you can own, when in actual fact, they control every aspect of that ownership. Louis Rosman's right to repair movement is deeply ensconced in this. And he, like Ross Scott, is also a reluctant hero. There are a growing number of people out there who are not standing for this kind of behaviour from corporate entities. They've decided that enough is enough. Because as they go about their daily lives, they come home and indulge in their various hobbies, they can see where this is going. And they don't like what they see. They understand very clearly that soon enough, the corporations will take everything. They will own everything whilst charging us for the privilege of usage. Rather like the debt-led economy experiment that failed and continues to fail currently, that was instigated over 30 years ago. It was decided that customers could be lifelong customers if you kept them in debt, if you kept them on the hook. And for a business trying to make money, for whom the line must always go up, this is a no-brainer. It has to happen. If you can get people paying for your goods constantly, so much the better. And at this point, I do urge you to go over to Lewis Rossman's channel and give him a watch. The articles on Right to Repair are compelling viewing. Then if no one stands up to the companies, then it leads to a consumer dystopian nightmare. We're already at a stage where car manufacturers selling brand new cars out of the showroom are charging customers to activate features on a car they've already bought. Because nowadays it's not enough to just produce a product and sell it at a reasonable profit. If you're not trying to fleece the customer, then what are you doing? But the real story is, underneath it all, we're all Ross Scott. We're all consumers, we're all customers, and the politicians in the European Parliament know this. Their own children play games, and so they've a vested interest. Some politicians play games, and doubtless can see where this is going, and it stinks. And so Ross Scott turned out to be the guy, the hero we both want and need. And so this gamer says from his little corner of the world, well done, Ross Scott, and keep up the good work. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe, and share. It really would help the channel. And until next time, bye-bye.